but if you're watching this not live, it's whatever you want it to be. But so GM, it is Button and Cucho. Today we have an interesting discussion about some of the mistakes that can be made when you're entering the NFT space. Unfortunately for both of us, we learned a few, perhaps the hard way. And so all we want to do is help you all avoid those mistakes because they can cost quite a bit of money. And the goal here is to have everyone win. And we believe that the best way to do so is if we win together. So this is us dumping our brains onto you all to hopefully save you some money and make you some money. Cucho, how are you doing? What are your thoughts on today's discussion? I'm looking forward to it. Are you?
I'm also really looking forward to it. And like you said, we made a lot of these mistakes ourselves. So we want to help you to avoid making these mistakes. So I'm going to share some of our learnings that we had as we entered the space almost, I know, now actually over a year ago. So
Absolutely.
thanks everyone for tuning in.
Perfect. Well, let's get started, Cucho. You got a list. I think we have like three major mistakes that some of us have made. Maybe we've others have made them bigger than others. Let's just go down with number one, and you can break it down, and I'll provide some visuals to help people understand.
Yeah, so I mean, number one is kind of over leveraging yourself in
Mm,
NFTs. So spending more money than than you can afford to lose. I think that's the biggest one. And yeah, like the number one rules in NFT investing should be to just invest money that you can afford to lose. That, if it ends up going to zero, okay with it. That it wouldn't, hurt you maybe being able to pay your rent or things like that. Those things should never be in jeopardy as you go about investing in NFTs.
right.
Yeah, so
And
that's the
I
biggest one for me. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason I pulled up the board Ape Yacht Club is because these are very, very expensive NFTs. Same with CryptoPunks. And if you don't have, or if like $100,000 is your total savings and you're throwing it in to a JPEG, and I'm not discounting what NFTs are, but I'm just saying that's a lot of money. And NFTs are very, very high risk. Yes, they can have huge rewards. It was a year ago that people were able to get these for $15,000, but that is still a lot of money for someone to risk losing in order to shoot for the stars. So I do think it's really important for people to just take a step back, look at your own personal expenses. I'm a big believer in you should at least have minimum 6 months of your living expenses in savings. Don't over leverage yourself. Don't take loans out. There's so many different opportunities or new services online where you can go and get a loan against your NFT to get you more liquid cash, and that is how people get stuck in a really, really bad situation. Same with credit cards. So I'm a big believer in just keeping it safe, and I think if we want to be completely honest, Nifty Gateway is probably one of the ways where people often over leverage themselves because they have the privilege of allowing you to make a purchase of an NFT with a credit card. And so when that's an available opportunity, that's when people can really quickly go from spending, $5,000 on an NFT. And yeah, it looks great, but it sure is deadly because it's not as liquid as having something like a stock or even something like Ethereum or Bitcoin, where you just say you want to sell it right there, boom, you know what the price is and you can sell it. But with NFTs, it's really, really, really difficult to find a buyer, especially when times are tough. And so you may have to take a loss on it, and that's when things get difficult. So, yeah, be careful with it. Credit cards are they're an incredible tool, but they're also a very dangerous weapon. So you gotta play the moves that are most beneficial for you, but don't over leverage. Um, there's a certain degree of the rule risk it for the biscuit that does apply, but this is a little bit too much biscuit for anyone to risk it. So I recommend that you do what's best for your situation. Look at your numbers, calculate it, and don't go beyond what you know is best for you. Because this is high risk stuff. Anything you want to add to that, Kucho?
Yeah, and for me, it's also not just over leveraging yourself, but for me, it's also investing too much too early
Ah,
in like a certain project. So, and that's actually an experience that I personally went through when I entered the NFT space early last year. There was almost all the attention was on art and on Nifty Gateway as a marketplace. And when I entered, I was ready to invest like a certain amount of money into NFTs. And I invested that money within like the first few weeks of being in the NFT space. But then, those assets on Nifty Gateway, a lot of them got very illiquid, and the attention of the market shifted more towards PFPs. So projects like Bored Apes, Cool Cats, those blew up. And so at that point, I didn't have the liquidity to get in on
ah,
those projects because, I did spend all of what I wanted to invest in NFTs very early on the thing or on the assets that were hyped at that moment. So that's something that I learned. So for me, it's not just over leveraging yourself, but also spending too much too quickly. And it is always really good to have some liquidity on the side in NFTs. And
right.
there are always, every few weeks there are great opportunities coming up, so don't rush into it, and wait for the best opportunities. They are going to come up.
I agree. Yeah, being liquid and at least having some liquidity and flexibility is really, really essential. So, yeah, always maintain a little bit. You don't want to be out of dollars. That's for sure. Out of dollars and out of ETH. So, and just all in on NFTs. That's not a good situation for anyone.
Yeah.
Kucho, do you have anything else you want to add to the first one, or should we
No, I think
transition to
that's
the
it.
second one?
So number one is, don't over leverage yourself. Don't invest too much too early when you enter the
Right,
NFT space. Second one to avoid for me is to FOMO in, or to always follow the hype.
right,
For me, so what I've learned early in the NFT space is that when projects are being hyped on Twitter, and you see everyone like pushing them on Twitter, and shilling them in the tweets, like, that's, for me, that's often too late. Like, that's not when you want to get in on projects,
right,
because every project kind of has like a hype curve where they are being minted, and then, like I said, people are starting to shill them on Twitter, and often then this still draws a lot of attention, more attention to the project,
right.
but a hype always dives down. And like I
Hmm.
said, projects tend to have this hype curve, but then at one point they all the hype dies down, and then it's about, can that project really build for the long term? And for me, what I've learned is that I do not want to be caught into that hype curve. So
Yes.
that's, those are projects that I try to avoid. Either I get into projects like really, really early, or I get into a project where I'm have high convictions that that's one that's going to build for the long term.
Yep.
But I, at all costs, I try to avoid projects where it just seems like they are being hyped for the moment, but I don't yet have any conviction that they actually are going to build in the long term.
Right. Yeah, I think that's an important lesson for everyone because the other thing is I've said it many times, this is the wild wild west, and because you are in possession of your assets, you are responsible for the security of them. And if you lean into the kind of time limit, I need to do this really quick. If I don't do this, I'm going to miss out on it, so I better jump on it right away. Those are the types of situations that scammers love to put people in because now you're doing irrational decisions to ensure that you're doing, and all it takes is a signature from your wallet on the wrong thing, a fake bad phishing website. Boom, they get not only your money that you're willing to spend on a project, but they also get everything else that was in your wallet as well. So it is very, very important to take a step back, perhaps do a little bit of meditation before you jump into things. I would rather be slow to a project and missing out on it than I jumped too quickly, clicked on something, and all of a sudden everything's gone. And we hear those stories way more often than any of us want to admit it because we're big believers in NFTs. But the truth is, it is so easy for someone to just make one bad click and adios, there it goes, and all your hard work in Web 2.0 is gone to one Web 3.0 scammer. So please be careful out there. Please take some time and don't FOMO in, because if you take a deep breath and recognize that, we're playing the long-term game with this, it's going to set you up for better likelihood of long-term success. So that's my 2 cents on that. Yeah, it's a scary world, but I think if you play it nice and calm, collected with a proper mindset, I think it's an opportunity for you to win. Kucho, anything else you want to add to that?
No, that was great.
Yeah,
And yeah, so let's get to this third one. So third common mistake NFT newbies make, for me, it's not doing enough research.
right,
So for me, like it shouldn't be enough for you to get in on a project just because you like the art or something like
right,
that. Like for me, actually the key variable that I personally look at is who is the team or the artist, behind the project.
right,
What Button always likes to say is past behavior predicts future behavior. And so,
right,
given that you want to look into the past behavior or team behind the project, right? What have they built in the past? What's their general reputation that they have in the NFT space and with those projects that they have built in the past? Things like that. Then also, you can look at the roadmap or what they, the intentions of what they are planning to build. But a roadmap is kind of like a pitch deck. They
correct.
haven't done that yet, right? So look into their past behavior to be able to make a better. Are they actually going to, based on what they say they are going to build in the space? Yeah, so that's for me, the key research, and especially around the team behind any project or the artist. How about
Yeah.
you, but what
No,
do
I
you
think
think?
you actually covered a lot within that statement. Yeah, like, and once again, you can only do so much. Like, a lot, quite often, some of these projects you can't figure out as much as perhaps you want to learn about the team, and sometimes the team themselves doesn't necessarily mean that's what's necessary for a successful project. I mean, you go back into the days of the Board Ape Yacht Club. The truth is, the founding team members didn't have the most incredible resume by far. I mean, like, if you look at some of these other teams that have put together really incredible, honestly, like flops, and sometimes they had a much better team than the Board Ape Yacht Club. But it is something that you should at least take into consideration, is like lean into the research, enjoy the research. It's kind of fun to start going down these rabbit holes, and that's way beyond just going to their website. That includes going to their Twitter account, looking into other options as far as like what's going on in their Discord. What can do they have any connections? I mean, for example, you're probably more qualified to discuss this than I am, but with regards to Artifact, the founding members of the Artifact project were well involved with really, really incredible goals with, like, for example, they were involved in gaming, and then also involved in some other big business stuff. So Kucha, do you mind speaking about that? I'm not the artifact expert, but you're definitely well involved with it, and I think that their team is an absolutely stunner team, perhaps one of the best teams out there in the NFT space today.
Yeah, yeah. Artifact is like a fashion brand, and yeah, I was fortunate to invest pretty early into them. And as part of the research that I did with them, I looked into the founders. And if you look into the founders, you realize that each three of the co-founders, they have a very unique skill set. You got Benito, that has been working for a long time in luxury brands, and also in addition to that, was a leader of one of the biggest e-gaming teams in the world, Fnatic. Then you got Clegg, who's an insane 3D designer with about, I think, 11 years old. He started his 3D design skills, then went into movie making, and then design skins for Counter-Strike, and another I can't think of it right now, but another huge game. And then we got Subtio as the third one, who's had a huge custom sneaker business. And so when I looked into them, looked at their skill sets, it kind of made me very confident that they are going to be able to follow up actually on what they said they're going to build,
Right.
with that fashion brand. And yeah, and so I mean, and like I said, it is kind of the team is a part of it, but I think the research also goes beyond that. So,
Right.
for example, I think that a lot of people that get into the NFT space, they just jump in on a project that reminds them of a project that blew up or that had a lot of value. So, for
Right.
example, I mean, after Bored Apes blew up, that actually a project just needed like one type of animal and a adjective to describe it. It mint like 10,000 PFPs, and it would mint out in like 2 minutes. And
Right.
it's because Bored Apes got a lot of attention, and probably the person entering the space, that's the product they heard of. So a project that reminded them of it, they thought, oh, that's going to be the same thing. But I feel
Right.
like you know you need to make more research, and you need to be able to, after you've done your research, for me, you need to be able to build a business case, or you need to have good reasons for why the project is actually going to have value in the long term. And if you can't come up with those reasons based on your research, that's probably not one project you should be investing in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's perfectly stated. To kind of complement a bit of what you're mentioning as well. I do want to emphasize that the more you spend, the more you have as an opportunity to lose. So when you're going in on these projects, if you're just starting out, don't spend your whole bag that you've saved up on one single PFP. Like it's much better, at least for me, to go in and like try to find a few that maybe are perhaps a little bit affordable that you can like start dabbing in a little bit, learn a little bit, and then learn from each one what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and then that can help inform what to do in the future, because it's so easy that some of these projects can get really really expensive really really quickly. But if you only have a little bit of money that you're throwing in there, what you got to lose with it? So it doesn't necessarily mean that just because their mint price is really, really high, that it's going to succeed. It also doesn't mean that if it's going to cost you nothing, that it's got a better chance of making, 10x. But it is worth, in my opinion, it's worth it for you to go in on smaller projects, low numbers, to lose less. And, especially at the beginning phase, you don't want to go in and throw everything out there. And then all of a sudden, you're out of liquid and you just learned a really hard lesson. And now you can't build on it. So maybe start small, start slow, take your time. There's so much junk out there. Like literally, I'm just showing you all a lot of projects that many would consider junk. Like, how long are these going to be around for? I'm not that sure, but I'm telling you, they're in the top 500 right now. Very, very low quantity of sales that's happening within 24 hours. I mean, if you make a couple purchases here, you could actually move it into the top 100 pretty quick because the volume's so low. I think there are some gems out there, but you got to do your own research. You got to figure out which ones are the ones, which ones can you find on sale. I think one other piece of advice that Kucho and I both believe in is sometimes the best move is to just make some low ball offers. I know it may feel a little bit cheap at times, but the truth is it may be better for you to go for it through a low ball offer rather than going in with what's the floor price? Let me just buy it at that price right now. So, for example, X copy right now, you could see highest active offer is $1,369. The floor price is $1,800. that's a little bit of good money that I'd like to save if someone accepts it. And you can kind of see how many are listed. So there's two people that are pretty close to the floor right there. Not a bad move. All it takes is one person to say, you know what, screw it, I want to get rid of it, and then they just accept that offer. Bada bing, bada boom. That could be done on Nifty Gateway. That can also be done on OpenSea. And another move that I like to make when I'm like just looking for low cost projects to get into, just go by lowest price. I really don't recommend you get into the really, really cheap ones. It's going to take you a while to get up to at least $100, but you can start finding things that maybe the artist has been doing stuff for quite some time, and maybe there's a gem out there that's just waiting for you to go for it, and it's way, way undervalued. So I like to look for projects maybe where they're rewarding their collectors. For example, I definitely know 33 NFT. This is basically a membership pass. It's a VIP membership pass. And when he does his drops, he provides those who have his NFT with an opportunity to participate to get NFTs as low as $33 for sometimes some artists that are pretty well known in the NFT space. So you can see right here, this is a very close floor between 133 and 124.50. Highest active offer is 68.11, but the floor price is 124.5. It's not there's a big gap in between there. If you can get that, someone's really desperate to get rid of it and you're willing to throw something low ball out there, it might be a great opportunity for you. I did that recently with I did it with Drifter Shoots. I'll just show you guys because I think it's good information to share our experiences as well. Right now, the floor. Let's see what the floor is. The floor is 96.70. The highest offer is 50. You can even see me over here. I put in a super low ball offer, $59 4 days ago. You know what? If that guy gets it for 50, good for him. But you know what? It's worth it to throw something out there. Look at these other prices. Just throw something low ball out there. You never know if someone needs to get rid of it. Maybe I made a mistake, but what's the most I can lose? $59. So happy I got it. Number 4990. Come check me out. Kujo, any questions about this?
No, man, this was good. Good, great
Yeah, it's
summary of our
insightful.
points. Also made, I think you made, a few additional great points. So I think we can just close it out. We just want to do a quick video,
Yep.
share some of the mistakes that you definitely have to avoid. I mean, if you're a newbie or also if you're already long in the space, but those really are the ones you don't want to do. So just closing out, Button and I, we started a community. It's called the HODL. It's, the NFT space can be very overwhelming. So we wanted to create a community of people that have a very long-term mindset with how they are looking at the NFT space and being able to support each other space, our together. So join the Discord server that we have. It's linked in the YouTube channel. Also, definitely like the video, subscribe to this channel. We're gonna do during the week daily videos on some of the learnings and insights that we have from being in the NFT space for over a year now. And then also we're hosting daily Twitter spaces, also Monday to Friday, where we share a little bit more what we see in the market at that day and our reactions and perspectives on that. So you can see our Twitter handles in the video as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys, and tune in again next time. Cheers,
Yeah, let
everyone.
us know how we can help you. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Kucho. Later.